Michele Crispo of MMA 24 here, and today I'm with Jake Heffernan. Hi, Jake. Nice to see you and nice to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you. Good to be here.
Jake, how is the situation over there regarding the COVID-19?
Actually right now, it's actually been pretty good. The gyms are all opening back up. I know that they've started to say that there might be some uprising in cases and stuff like that, but as of right now, the training's been good. Cross training's been good, going to other gyms and getting good training in. So hopefully everything stays kind of easy going and not hitting too many ramp ups in the cases.
How started your passion for the combat sports in general, Jake?
It's been good. Just kind of, I'm coming off of a small injury. Well, not really a small one. I got into a hunting accident and got shot, but basically healed up from that. That was about 5 months ago. And I've just been, I got a super fight coming up, which is a submission only match. And then basically from there, I'll be fighting for either Fury Fighting Championship or LFA, Legacy Fighting Alliance, come January. So it's looking good competition-wise.
How is important for you the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I know that you train with a Gracie gym. It's right?
That's right.
Can you tell us about your experience in this fantastic gym?
It's been great. I've been at Gracie Baja since day one as a white belt. I worked my way through the ranking system. I'm currently a brown belt. I'm the second in command at my gym with Alex Morono, the UFC fighter, black belt for the last 6 years. Basically just training under him and then teaching the classes with him. Honestly, the Gracie Baja is great. All the other gyms that are in the city are really accommodating and allow for extra training. And so, honestly, like one of the best gyms for camaraderie with like a family atmosphere. We teach mostly kids at the gym with a very high number of adults, but I mean, the kids' classes are always huge. You know, at this moment right now, because of COVID-19, a lot of the smaller gyms, unfortunately, weren't able to stay open. So we ended up receiving a lot of their students. So currently right now, we're up to about 50 kids per class. And so it's been really, really nice.
Fantastic. About the BJJ, Jake, on the 5th of December, you will fight at the Submission Hunter Pro. Is
yes,
right?
Sir.
How are you? How do you feel? And how are you preparing for this match?
Actually, it's going really well. Training really hard for the match. I basically have a slew of black belts to roll with to get me ready. The guy that I'm actually competing against, Eric Wright, is a super down opponent. He's had about 7 super fights. So he's got a good, solid amount of experience. I did watch him go against one of my teammates in the last Submission Hunter Pro. Not the last one, but one of the recent ones. He went against my buddy Ricky Tercios and to a draw. And then before that, he actually went against another Gracie Baja guy, Omar Halil. So I've had plenty of tape to watch, and I kind of know what to expect. But again, he is a super down opponent, and so it's going to be a really fun match to go through.
What do you think about your next opponent?
I know he likes to do the leg locks. I know he has some wrestling experience. So it'll be fun to kind of see that mixture of the takedowns with the leg lock game. So I'm looking forward to that. I know that he has in his past matches kind of gassed out a little bit and not been able to keep up with the 7-minute rounds. And I train like 6 hours a day doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing. So I'm ready to pretty much just go as hard as possible for the first 4 minutes and then coast through the last 3 minutes hunting submissions out after I kind of put him through the deep waters.
Jake, I saw that you recently been on the corner of UFC fighter Alex Morono. How was it, and how did it help you, Alex?
It was actually really, really amazingly fun. It was one of those bucket list opportunities. I've always wanted to corner a UFC event. And so basically just seeing everything from the background and seeing how the UFC gets everything going, the professionalism of it all was really, really awesome experience. I actually was Alex's warm-up buddy for the fight, so I took quite a beating before he got out there and beat up Reese McGee. So, you know, I put the MMA gloves on and grappled with him, and I did the striking with him just to get him ready. And kind of emulated Reese's style as best as possible, and obviously it worked really good. Alex, you know, outclassed Reese. You know, no disrespect, but definitely outclassed him with his striking. And then just to seal the deal, was able to secure the takedowns when he needed to. You know, ended the fight on top and mount elbows and hands. So, you know, could not have been a better situation for my first time cornering a UFC event.
After this fantastic experience, would you like to join the UFC, Jake?
Oh, that's always been the ultimate goal, is to get to the UFC. You know, we train under Saif Saud, which is the head coach over at Fortis in Dallas. And just being in the corner with him and experience all of his knowledge for MMA was really amazing. To be able to kind of absorb all of that and see exactly how he fine-tunes the fighters on fight week. And I honestly cannot wait to get back there and have him coaching me for my corner, or for him to be my corner for my fights. Seeing all of the competition also kind of gives you that level of like, what are the next levels that I need to get to be able to get there. And honestly, for about a year now, you know, unfortunately with COVID-19 and the injuries that I went through, I haven't been able to fight this year, but I really do feel like I'm maybe 1 or 2 fights away from getting signed and making a nice hearty career in the UFC. You know, that's not just about getting signed. You know, they say it's about getting re-signed after you go through your first contract. So the goal is not just to get there, but to stay there.
Jake, you have a record of 7 wins and only 2 defeats. Is right?
Yes, sir.
What was the hardest moment, and which was the best of your career?
The hardest moment was probably my last fight. I had, you know, my last 2 fights were my only 2 losses. I did fight for Dana White. He was doing the Dana White's Looking for a Fight YouTube with Matt Serra. And that fight was unfortunate. I got knocked out in the first minute and a half after starting the fight really well. But as hard as that was to deal with, in my actual most recent fight, I fought Paris Stanford. And in the first 10 seconds of the fight, my leg got broken from a leg kick. And then I proceeded to fight for the rest of the 15 minutes, not understanding why my leg was hurting and not really understanding why I couldn't get any of my takedowns to work. So the hardest thing, I think, was dealing with my leg breaking in the first round and then making it all the way to the 3rd round to continue to fight. The reason that's hard to deal with is because I see these fighters in the UFC, they get calf kicked, or they get, you know, they roll their ankle like Sean O'Malley, and then they can't continue to compete. And then I'm sitting there with a broken leg, fighting all 3 rounds, throwing punches, throwing kicks with the broken leg. And then I see these guys that are like, oh, my calf hurts, I'm going to lay down and get TKO'd from it. And I just don't understand where their toughness is. You know, they're UFC fighters. They're supposed to be the, you know, the highest performing athletes in the world. And somehow they're like, my leg hurts, I'm just going to give up. I'm sitting there with a broken leg, and, you know, it's a little difficult. And then my most favorite fight is actually the one I did right before the 2 losses, which was against Peter Stanonik. He recently fought Raymond Daniels, and he was the one that got spinning back kicked to the below the belt region. And it happened 2 times in a row from the spinning back kick from Raymond Daniels. And, you know, he ended up having to kind of have that fight be a no contest. But I fought Peter for LFA. And, man, honestly, that was probably my best performance, grappler versus a striker. I beat him with my striking by masking takedowns into the striking. And honestly, Peter, Stanonik is probably one of the best martial artists I've ever gone against. Going into that fight camp, I was very diligent on keeping, a constant amount of, guard retention so that I wouldn't be able to get hit. And I focused highly on masking my takedown with my strike. So that was probably my proudest fight, to be able to go against Peter Stanonik and win. So,
Jake, you fought in a fantastic promotion like LFA's for 3 times. Would you like to return in this fantastic promotion?
Yeah, I actually have one fight left on my contract with them. Like I said, unfortunately, I was dealing with an injury from a hunting accident. I got shot in the elbow right here. I have some surgery done in my arm, but my hand's all back to normal, and I'm ready to compete for LFA again, and hopefully get re-signed for another 3-fight contract, and then hopefully in the middle of that contract get picked up by the UFC and compete for them in that area.
Would you like to face someone in particular, Jake?
At the moment, I'm just ready to get positions. Anybody, really. I know that I'm still ranked pretty high, even though taking a little bit of a break from the COVID and the injuries. So anybody in the top 10 of the 45 ranking system here in Texas or Arizona or Oklahoma or Louisiana, I'm always about taking the harder fights to kind of test myself. And even coming off of an injury and a couple of losses, I'd still like to, compete at the higher level so I can be ready for the UFC.
Jake, last question. What are your plans for the future?
The hope is the UFC, not just that, to make myself known and kind of, take the route of Paul Fielder. He just fought Dos Anjos this weekend coming off of, commentating. And I think that's one of the things about fighting is it's not just to fight, but to become well-known enough to be able to sit behind the cage and talk about the fighters while they're fighting. I think that's my ultimate goal is to have a really awesome career in the UFC and then continue the career beyond the UFC into commentating, hopefully make it to the UFC Hall of Fame one day. And then basically just have that, that long career just with the UFC, fighting, having really awesome, entertaining fights that's nonstop action, and then also being able to commentate really awesome fights for the UFC is the ultimate goal.
Jake, I wish you the best, and I'll tell you, do you have something to say to your fans?
Guys, just be ready. It's been a long layoff. Really looking forward to competing, not only on December 5th card with Submission Hunter Pro, but also to get back into fighting with either Fury Fighting Championship or LFA. And, one thing is the entire time I've been injured, Iridium Sports has been my managing team, and they've been really taking care of me, calling me every week, making sure that I'm taken care of, making sure my sponsoring is staying up. They hooked me up with Vital Minds, which is a CBD company that has been supplying me with ointments and different things to kind of help with my injury. And, honestly, they just have kept everything up. Back into training also, HKA USA, which is a fight gear brand, has made sure that I've had enough, gloves and shin guards to work with. They also just sent me a pair of striking sticks that were really awesome. So I have a little bit of nerve damage in my hand, so it's hard to hold pads now. But so they gave me those. And then, of course, my all-time sponsors, which is Loaded Pistols. They've been keeping me fresh in my gear with my shirts and my fight shorts and everything like that. So just my managing team and my sponsors have really just kept up with me and made sure that even through the break and the injuries, I've been really well taken care of.
Thank you, Jake. See you the next time.
Have a good day.